Pulisic dentro, Rafa. Gol! Ebram! Gol! È l'azione più bella del mondo! È l'azione più bella!
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host Ollie Fisher, joined once again by the ever-depressed Anthony Talkert.
Well, that doesn't sound good for me. Yeah, I'm here. I picked the wrong week to miss last week. I should have missed this one, but it is what it is. We get another loss to talk about. Oh, just kidding. We get two of them to talk about. So,
Double trouble.
Yeah, we get to talk about not winning a trophy, and we get to talk about not qualifying for Europe. So, can't wait to not talk about a lot of things.
No, mate, it's what we say that's going to matter in this episode. Trust me. We're going to put some things to rights. We're going to put some people to the sword. It's going to be fun. It's a post-mortem, unfortunately. I was hoping that we'd be able to record this on Monday, I don't know, beer in hand or whatever, just
like
celebrating. Celebrating a trophy, celebrating, a step maybe towards Europe, although we'd already have a Europa League spot in the bag. It isn't that way.
Instead, I'm collecting signatures for a petition. Sorry, Martino. I love you.
He won't listen to this.
Nah, he won't.
Anyone who does, I question their sanity at this point.
Yeah, honestly.
It really is group therapy and has been all season. But before we dive into said counselling session, thank you as always. And again, I really mean it. It's been a really difficult season. And for those people who have stuck with it and are still consuming everything we do, thank you so much. But especially thank you to our Substack founding members, Des Winter McGlynn, Tito Mac, Maurice Pullman, Joey Gawler, Kemin, MJ Mats, Luke Villano, Rel Escobar, Jack Carlofassi, Nasser Millenfinker, Derek Favretto, Ivanly 13, Mike Schulz, JT Physio, Marco Villela, Roberto Racinos, Ken, and Medi K. Over on the Substack in the past week, and I'm going to use this opportunity now to say this is going to be a fun summer over on the Substack. First of all, because a lot of early info that we get is released on there. And what are the reports saying this morning? It's going to be Tari and Sari. Tari and Sari. That's going to be interesting.
Is it too late? Is it too late now to say sorry? Been working on that one all day.
Thank you for watching, everybody. We'll catch you. But if you go on our Substack and you look at the bonus articles, you'll see who said it all the way back on. In fact, I have to go further back than I thought for this. All the way back on. Can't even find it. Can't even find where we said it. It
was last summer, wasn't it?
No, it was definitely this summer. In fact, it's on the main website because we then put things out a little bit afterwards. It was on the 9th of April that we said that Tari and Sari were going to be the front runners for this year.
I swear we said it before the season even started that maybe not Tari, but definitely Sari was linked this summer.
It's been meant, yeah. I mean, anyway, the reports this morning are saying that every few months for about 10 years we've been linked with Sari, so maybe that one was a layup, but that article highlighted why those two were the front runners, and now all the reports are saying today that they are indeed the front runners and that Tari is very close to becoming the new sporting director. Might speak about that in a little bit. We'll see how we're doing for time. The pub chat that Lorenzo and Stefano did was actually on that theme, discussing what Milan need to do in the summer to get the project back on track and if it's even salvageable. So the title, What Next for Milan? The moves that should be made, sporting director, head coach, what happens with star players, signings that need to be made. There's going to be a lot of things along that theme, I think, because there's a big rebuild required this summer. Isaac's bonus article, A Day in the Life of Covering Milan at the Coppa Italia final. Really enjoyed this one. I'd recommend sitting down for 5-10 minutes and reading through this one. Isaac documented his day, basically flying out very early in the morning to Rome via a layover and, getting press pass and, getting to see everything that comes with representing us as a site.
In the
Yeah.
Where?
He did, yeah. He had to fly via Paris, I think, or it might be Munich.
He took some budget airline, didn't he?
I think direct flights were very expensive. Gothenburg is not quite as well linked as London. Like, I got my return flights for about £50. And
did you guys even meet up? I mean, obviously you had the game together, but
we met up at the train station, and then it was like, we thought about potentially meeting in the afternoon, but more and more reports are coming through that the roads are fucked and that people are really struggling to get to the stadium. Isaac had to collect his stuff like a couple of hours at least before kickoff. So while we were sat having food and a few beers, he went. So I saw him once, and unfortunately that was it. But yeah, go read that. It documents the entire day. I know we lost, but I think it's good insight into how it all works. He also did a 26-minute video with Lorenzo Bertoni from Football Italia, an instant post-game reaction outside the Olimpico. The bonus pod that me, you and Maddie did, was dissect until he dropped out halfway through.
Oh, yeah. That's like, was he in it? Yeah.
Boban's interview that he gave on his YouTube channel. We go through all the main quotes in that, and then there's a newsletter too. All right, let's go.
Yeah.
That's it, innit? That's all there is to say.
We lost, okay.
That's all there is to say. So...
Shit game, honestly. Start to finish, there was nothing good about it.
So it's 6 days. 6 days since this game has happened, and I still haven't really formulated the words that I want to say to describe this. And partly because, as you say, very little happened, so there's not loads and loads of incidents to talk about and be like, this is where it was all won and lost, or there wasn't anything massively controversial, though we'll come on to a VAR incident that happened in the Roma game. It was more just how disappointing and subdued an occasion it was. I was lucky enough, I say lucky enough, but yeah, genuinely lucky enough to be at this game in the stands. And I was hoping for so much more than this, Even taking out of the equation that 3-1 win against Bologna at San Siro just a few days prior, it's a clean slate. We know that. Like we say, that form goes out the window for cup finals just as it does for derbies. That did prove to be the case. We maybe showed our hand a little bit early in that Friday game, and Italiano had the counter moves for us this time. But it was just a really, really dull spectacle. If you're going to lose a game, you want it to be a lot more entertaining than that. You want us to give a good account of ourselves, for us to show up, to show heart, fight, grit, everything. And it just felt a performance that was lacking in all those things.
Sorry, a little fledgling just landed on my windowsill there.
Are you a keen birder?
Yeah, I became kind of a bird watcher lately. I was going to take that a different direction, but no. I do like the winged creatures. To the game, it's frustrating because, form goes out, but you also got to realize where the team was all season long and where we were at this point, winning the 3-4 games in a row, the Excel spreadsheet that was hitting perfectly, that everyone was starting to go like, wait a minute, like it was a joke when it came out. And then
things started to line up.
That whole week lined up. We go, oh, wow. All of a sudden we're here.
We're back.
Beating this exact team and putting 3 past them just 5 days prior to kickoff. You start to think, could we actually do this? Is this going to happen? Are the stars going to align? And then kick off. And look, we actually started this game much better than they did. We had a very, very big chance early on. Luka Jovic, I still don't know how he didn't score, how Skrupski saved it, how Pulisic missed the rebound there. I really was like, damn, how'd that not go in? That was a missed opportunity early on. It was like 8 minutes in or something like that. And everyone's like, okay, we're pushing, we're ready, we're good, we're going for it.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really have another attack the rest of the game.
So I said obviously you went on the main pod last weekend. I said to Maddie that I would have started Santiago Gimenez in this final. Yeah. Why? Because generally finals are cagey. You look back at the Coppa Italia, it's often one goal that wins it. Mm-hmm. And you need your best finisher out there for that. Now, you can make a bit of an argument that Jovic has been a good finisher in this recent run that he's had. But Gimenez had scored twice from 2 chances on Friday night against the same opponent. Mm-hmm. Jovic from the start has not done well apart from that Coppa Italia semi-final second leg. And I think that game alone is what has earned him the start for this. But when 1 or 2 big chances, and I'll put the stats up now because it makes sense to... It says we had 3 big chances to 2. I don't remember them. I think that's been incredibly generous, to be honest. But when you have that one massive chance to take a big leap forward towards the trophy, and it was like a handful of minutes into the game, but it's so important to take that moment, and you want your best person out there to take that chance. if I'm gonna ever so slightly defend Jovic, I would say that maybe he has to react very quickly. He doesn't know too much about it, and he still gets a solid contact on it. Skorupski is well placed, and he makes a save from a shot that was pretty much straight at him. But moments like that win games, and if we take a 1-0 lead in this, we are potentially talking about a different outcome. That doesn't go in. Bologna build belief after we'd made a really good start to the game. And ultimately, they would go on to make us pay in the second half with a shot from, I'd say similar. I mean, it's sort of a similar range, but, from that side, cut back, bang. But that one ends up in the back of the net from Dan and Doy. We didn't learn our lesson, from Ndoye, who scored the winner with a peeling near post run in the league game at the Del Ara earlier in the season.
I thought it was Orsolini who scored. No, it was Ndoye, you're right.
Yeah, it was Ndoye in this final, Orsolini on Friday night. So yeah, we hadn't learned to track his runs clearly, and yeah, that was it. We lost.
Yeah, I definitely was in agreement with you on starting Santiago Gimenez. I will say that's probably who Bologna were doing their training around, given the performance the previous Friday. So maybe it was to kind of catch them off guard by doing the switch up, and I'll give them a little grace on that as like a tactical idea, but obviously didn't work out. So at the end, I don't care. Not really in the mood to sing Gimenez praise after the Roma match. So move on quickly from that. But if you look at the momentum ticker, we had our big chance early on, and then they had a big chance immediately after, and then there was really nothing for the rest of the first half into the start of the second half until their goal in the 53rd minute. And then it was all us, like we were the only attacking team, but there came a point, and I don't know roughly when it was. I have no idea what minute it was, but it just kind of petered out, and both teams weren't advancing. They were just kind of sitting on the ball, because if you're Bologna, why would you, right? You don't need to risk a counterattack. And it looked like Milan was still playing this game as if the only way they could score was a counter, as if they didn't have any individual brilliance available. I mean, we had Leao on the pitch. Pulisic came off in like the 88th, so he basically played the full game. You had Teo on there. You had Reinders for most of the game. You did get Santiago at some point. So, like, we had attacking options on there that could create on their own, and yet we played as if the only thing we could do was wait for a counterattack, which was never going to come when you're down a goal. In a cup final, you just don't attack when you're up. Why would you? It doesn't make sense. So, when you're looking at this, and people are going to say I'm just a Gimenez hater, and 100% I am. But live, I even complained about this, because look at his position. You look at where Jovic is. You look at where Pulisic is. If we had a clip from like 4 seconds prior to when Gimenez put in that ball, he went in front of the two Bologna players there to get to Gimenez, or I'm sorry, to Jovic. But they both were on the penalty spot, Jovic and Pulisic, while the Bologna defenders were level with Gimenez. He could have put it behind them, played center. They would have had better time to react, and I'm almost positive it would have been a goal. That's not what decided the game, but it would have changed it if we scored that early.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the energy to massively disagree, but all I'll say is that should be an assist for him. Like, for the ball to get into that position, like, it has to be a goal. But as I say, the one thing you can say is he's got to react to it late, and Skorupski does well to get across. You can, for those who are listening, we've got a screenshot up of the chance. For those watching, you'll see Skorupski does well to get across into the middle of his goal, but that has to go in. And yeah, we maybe are talking about a different outcome there. But like, so they go a goal up and they're happy to defend the lead. They're kind of, I don't know, poking the devil a little bit by doing so, given what happened a few days prior. They go a goal up early in the second half and they try and kind of hang on to that. And we score 3 times. The substitutions made a massive difference in that game. The same thing could have happened again. The difference is, I just got the feeling in the stands that we were never going to score. In fact, we were never going to generate another good goal scoring opportunity. They seemed so set into their defensive shape. We seemed so slow, lethargic, out of ideas. We seemed like struck by fear a little bit, as if the magnitude of the game had finally started to weigh. And when in the past we've had that comeback spirit by being courageous, by throwing on an extra forward, I can't argue with the substitutes made on 62 minutes. So, just after the hour, he's thinking, this isn't working, triple sub. On comes Walker at right centre back. Now, it is what it is. Tomori had been booked, and I think that Walker perhaps can detach there into a four-man defence, and he's a better right back going forward. Santiago Gimenez comes on for Jovic. That was fine for me. João Felix comes on for Gimenez. So an obvious change in shape.
And you we went back to a 4-2-3-1, which was kind of odd because that's not what was successful 5 days prior. It's not what's been successful throughout the season. So I thought that was a little strange. I do understand bringing on Walker for Tomori, given the booking, given that you were taking off Gimenez to bring in João Felix, because it does help you get another attacker in there. Obviously, Walker plays right back. You have the two center backs that are already there playing it. So you do see that change. However, I think I would have brought on João instead. I would have kept the formation, the 3-5 or 3-4-3, whatever it was. I would have kept that going. But one thing that really took the wind out of our sails, and look, I had a tweet about it yesterday, and we'll get to it when we get to talk about the Roma game, but the decisions going against us consistently in this game. So in I think it was like the 43rd minute around there, Lewis Ferguson goes through Leao, just takes him out. You see him almost flatten out, like, whoa, holy shit. I mean, look, it's the type of challenge that I always support. I say that's the type of thing you do. First challenge of the game, send a message, let them know, look, I'm here to play. This is how it's going to be for you. You're not just beating me with your fancy dribbles. I'm going through you. And you get to yellow card. There's a big argument that it could be a red card, but yellow, fine, whatever. Then like 2 minutes later, he does damn near the exact same thing to Pulisic, less aggressive, but roughly the same thing. Whistle blown, and it's against Pulisic somehow. So then Pulisic obviously says, "What, like, WTF? What are we doing here?" And he gets booked. So when this happens in quick succession, like, that should be a sending off, and that changes the game. It wasn't, and then obviously there's the elbow into the chest of Gabia, which I believe was also Lewis Ferguson. Was it, or was there another player?
Bekwema.
Okay,
yeah,
which didn't even get a VAR review. And for me personally, I don't have an issue with that, and that's the one that people are complaining about because Santi obviously got sent off for it. Two wrongs don't make a right. Just because one was not caught doesn't mean ours shouldn't be caught. Like, you can't just go and do that again. It's still the wrong thing. He deserved to be sent off. They both did, but only ours did. It's the way it goes. Stop bitching about it. But so when the decisions are going that badly against you, it also has a psychological effect. And I think
we never got any rhythm going, did we?
No, we didn't. And we knew they were going to play like this too, because they did it on Friday. They were very aggressive. And same thing was happening. Cards are flying out, again, only towards us. But we were able to get it out because we decided to play attacking, advancing football. Balls over the top. Had Santiago on the back line and letting him jump forward, risk being offside, play those over the top balls or through balls underneath, whatever you got to do. It worked. We didn't try that at all this time. We waited for a counter that was never going to come.
We looked completely out of ideas. Do you know what the entire feeling of the night extends to before the game for me, when the Curva had their tifo, confiscated, whatever you want to say, banned by the police, and
I didn't know that.
Therefore, as the players came out, there was like a partial display in ours with red and black flags, but the entire Bologna end was a sea of red and blue, and they held up this big, like, almost like a mural thing of the last team to win a trophy. And their fans just seemed way more up for it than us. It's been over 50 years since they won a trophy.
Why was ours confiscated? I didn't know this happened.
I don't know. I didn't read into it, but it was a late thing. Like, I think hours before the game, they went in and raided it. Whether it was because it was going to be something provocative, or whether it was because it had symbols which are related to the old Curva leaders who are currently under investigation. That's why some of the home flags have been banned. But that was just kind of it. Like, I got the feeling that the occasion meant an awful lot more to them, and sometimes that can play into your hands as the other team, because they should be the ones that are so tense and nervous. When are they going to get this close again? But it didn't. We just completely lacked that spark, and they were first to almost every first ball, if not second ball. The way that they defended in that last 20, 25 minutes does deserve commending, because they didn't really give us a sniff at all. They were airtight, and it was almost a perfect final performance in that sense. But you've got to ask more questions than what we did. You know, you make those 3 subs just after the hour mark. I'm fine with that. But then to wait until the 88th minute to throw on Tammy and to throw on Chukwueze actually came on and had a go. Like, it was a little bit frustrating.
He was the game changer on Friday.
Yeah, and it was a little bit frustrating what he did on Wednesday night in the cup final, because, you know, sometimes he was hanging on to the ball a little bit too much after cutting inside and stuff. But like, that was way more dynamism than we'd seen from any of the other forwards, you know. And then, yeah, to give Tammy 2 minutes at the end felt kind of symbolic of the fact that he's become the third choice striker now. And really, you know, you could throw them on with 15 minutes left, go 2 up front, get another winger on, be way more direct, and just pin them even further back. Like, get them camped in their own box. But instead, what did we do I tell you, live in the stadium, that last 10 minutes evaporated. It just went by so fast. Why? Because we spent all of it passing around the fucking back and doing nothing. Then when it got 6 minutes into added time, Maignan in possession. What's going on? And then we work the ball wide, and it goes back to Maignan, and then he lumps one aimlessly towards nobody, and the ball comes back to us, and we try to do the same thing again. We just didn't ask any of the correct questions. It was, I am really, really happy to blame everybody for this season, management and ownership included. I'm really happy to point the finger at Conceição and say that he's got a lot of things wrong, in my opinion, in his 5 months at the club. But I felt walking out the ground, and I went and met up with 3 friends, including Naeem, shout out Naeem, who had been with before the game. And the first thing I said to them was, I feel like the players let us down there, you know. Whereas before, you could give them all these excuses and alibis about the chaos surrounding them, about a changing coach. We've had, you know, players in and out of form at different moments. We've had things like cooling break and the Fiorentina penalty saga and all this shit, like all the distractions. They had a chance to kind of not put things right, but just to give us fans something in that one game, and also remove the sword hanging over our heads of no Europe for next season. Just win this one game. It's a trophy and it's the Europa League, and you're forgiven. The players would have been forgiven for the time being for that.
And it's a team you scored 3 on 5 days earlier. It's a team you should not be conceding a clean sheet to, you know, or like not, you know what I'm trying to say. A team that you can't score against. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, you could tell the players are not there. I said it in the chat during the Roma game, but every set piece in your opponent's half should be a goal scoring opportunity if you take it correctly. Every single one. And for us, every set piece is an opportunity to get Maignan another touch, because we go straight back. It's awful. I don't understand. And it's by design, and it's not just Conceição. It was the same under Fonseca. You'd see it. Go back to pick any game you want. Go to any minute of any game. Wait for Theo Hernandez to get on the ball and tell me what happens. I'll tell you right now, he's going to stop where he is. He's going to wait for someone to put coverage on him, and then he's going to pass it back to Pavlovic or Maignan or whichever center back is right next to him. I genuinely don't think he had a forward pass once this season when he wasn't already in motion. He gets the ball, he stops. And that's not Theo Hernandez. That's not the Theo we've known for, 5-6 years now, where we've seen him the moment he touches the ball as an attack. Where did that guy go? We haven't seen a coast-to-coast attempt this season. This is Maignan's first season without an assist because he doesn't play those quick balls anymore. We used to concede an attack, Maignan would save it, and he'd immediately boot it because he knew Leao or Theo were sprinting their ass off and already in the opposition half, 1v1 with the keeper, they'd score a goal. That never happened this season. How many times did we see him run to the edge of his box and get ready to drop kick the ball, look up and realize everyone's still right in front of me, and then just stop
stood there,
and then wait for the opposition to get back in formation, and then roll the ball to Gavia or Chow or Tomori or Pavlovic. and then they give it right back to him. Genuinely, like, I don't know if this is true, but I feel as if Mignon has more touches than anyone else in the team this season. And that might be a real stat.
Yeah.
I'm pulling that out of thin air, but I feel like it.
If it's not, it's one of the centre backs. Like, genuinely, it has to be.
We are just so determined to build out of the back that we forget that we can't score there.
Like, we don't do it effectively, though. Like, you build from the back effectively, and this is why I'm so in favour of a changing coach. But you build effectively from the back by playing through the thirds and positional rotation, and everybody knowing where their teammates are at any given moment, passing triangles, smart movement, third man runs, stretching play with the touchline, running off the last shoulder, all these things that you're actually taught at a very low level of football. We have stopped doing any of it for a long time now, barring, well, I say we've done it in parts of this run. You know, we'd won 5 in 6 coming up to this final, which is why I think some of us were quite confident going into the game. We just put 3 on Bologna, having gone behind, and we're thinking, okay, there's some signs of life here. But then when the chips were down, there was no... It was like a lack of courage and a lack of composure and quality coupled together. And that's why we never threatened after that one a few minutes in, you know. Let's just fuck that off. It was bad. Walking out the ground, it was like, you know, you're hearing the celebrations going on in the stadium, but there was a feeling of resignation. Like, there's no way we pick ourselves up after this and win our last 2 and give ourselves a hope. And it proved to be the case. But that was the end of the season for us.
And it felt worse than all the other losses. And trust me, there's been a lot of them this year. I think we're 11 in the league now, which is
11
insane.
in the league. Yeah.
And that doesn't count Champions League or the Cup final. But every game this season, at least under Conceição, even the games we lost, it felt like we always had a chance to score at a moment's notice, that we could do it up until the final whistle. I did not feel that in this Bologna game. I felt we had lost the moment they scored. It was over.
Yeah, it did feel like that. It was so cagey and tense, and I did say in the preview that that's how I thought it would be, and that's why you need to take your one chance when it comes. And for us, it came a few minutes in, but it was feeling like that in the second half. It was like, first goal, and this is massive, potentially decisive, and so it proved to be. Flop of the match for me, I'm going Jovic. You missed the big chance, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't care. They all flop.
Yeah. Do you know what? You can't keep turning to them to bail us out every single time. I'll preface it with that. But Pulisic and Reinders have quite often, when we've really needed it, actually done very little. You know, like when the lens is on Reinders to produce a big moment while there's all these City links going on and stuff like that. If Man City were watching that, they're probably thinking, ooh, you know, it wasn't the best from him. Now, he wasn't the worst.
In this game or the Roma game.
But, like, it's been your season, lads. Drag us again, please. We need it one more time, and then next season will be different, we promise. But it wasn't there. But there's plenty of others to blame. You know, Leao and Teo on the left side did very little. Defensive inattention for the opening goal. I don't really have a top, to be honest. Nobody. Kyle Walker was immensely frustrating when he came on. I mean, there's one late on where he just pumped a crossover and everybody into the crowd, and it was like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
Like even our most experienced finalist player has fucked it. And Conceição, you know, we talked about him winning 9 cup finals in his career as a manager and 7 as a player. You wouldn't have guessed it from that. Italiano's lost his last 3, and he outcoached him. I'm afraid.
We had 2 players on the pitch who have won the Champions League, Kyle Walker and Christian Pulisic. If you told me neither of them had made their professional debut until that day, I would believe you.
Yeah, it felt like that. No exaggeration. I don't have a top. Unfortunately, it was a collective letdown, and I'm sorry for anybody, including myself, who had to travel and watch that shit. Let's move on then. Roma review. We've got 4 goals to talk about here, and I don't really have an awful lot to say about the game in general, apart from I've never been less excited for an end-of-season league game, I don't think. As I said, our season ended with the cup final. I said on the preview, I knew if we lost this, we wouldn't be able to get ourselves back up. You know, not with the way that Roma have been. You have to be very, very good to go and win away at Roma anyway, let alone against Claudio Ranieri's, you know, resurgent side who have not lost at home in 2025. in the league anyway, and it's his last home game, so there's going to be added
No,
emotion.
they had lost. Atalanta had beat them
away. Not lost at home in 2025, and it's Ranieri's last home game. Added emotion with that, and they're still in the top 4 race, and they still are, even though Juve won. I think they're a point outside, and we go behind really early. Gianluca Mancini, the player that you love to hate or hate, whatever.
Yeah, 2 minutes in, man. Go back and watch it. It comes from a corner, obviously. Not a single Milan player jumps to get that ball, and we had 3 defenders covering him. Not a single one jumped. He just went up. He's not even a tall guy. Just went up, headed it in. Maignan didn't move, and the 3 defenders did not jump. Like you said, the players don't care. They're checked out. The season was over already. Theo didn't even travel. I mean, look, he supposedly was injured. I think it's bullshit. I think he's just leaving. Rumors came out that day that he had offered himself to Real Madrid. They didn't want him. Hilarious. But he's looking for a way out. He doesn't care to travel. He's not going to. Guarantee he doesn't play against Monza either. Then you also look at the lineup and you see Leao's on the bench. No reasoning behind that. Very odd.
Well, Sky said that he also was carrying a knock, and if you'd have told me that after that final challenge that he had, I'd have said, yeah, fair enough. But João Felix started and scored anyway. So
yeah, I didn't
our
know
fucking season, innit? We get a goal, with 10 men, and it's someone that we really don't care about scoring. I'd have loved it if it had been somebody else, but
yeah. There was something else about it that I was going to say. Leao. Oh, I think Tomori might actually be concussed still from the first Bologna match where he took himself off about 20 minutes in because
elbow didn't head.
Yeah, he looked like completely out of it in the cup final, and then more so out of it again in this game. And I don't think we take concussions serious enough in this sport, in any sport, honestly. But yeah, he should not have been playing. You could just see it in a lot of the things. There was a moment actually where he was on the touchline, actually right next to Conceição, and received the ball completely by himself. There's no one on him. It was from the center back next to him. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Gabbia.
Gabbia, yeah.
And he just missed the ball.
He rolled under his foot, didn't he? Because he was looking up. He was out of it.
Yeah. That doesn't happen at this level. So, and look, say whatever. Junior Des, won't get me started on him. But for a guy like Tomori, I think that says, okay, he's still not fully recovered. Like if he's missing that. But the fact that Conceição standing right next to him, this mega hothead, didn't even react. What is that?
Oh, I mean, God, his fate's sealed, and he's well aware of it.
Whatever. His tell-all is going to be, "This isn't my fault. These players are awful."
Can't be asked with it, to be honest.
There's a lot of people who might agree with that. The amount of DMs I've gotten on Twitter or replies telling me Conceição is not at fault, which is fucking crazy to say, but it shows that, like, I think everyone's looking for what's the problem. Yeah. And the issue is there's not just one. It's top to bottom. Everything is the problem. There are so many problems. It's burn the whole thing down, start over.
That's my big problem with a large section of the fan base. And I know social media isn't the best barometer because people have to try and shout the loudest, to get their opinion across. But in my opinion, you are a fucking idiot if you are trying to say that one thing is responsible for this. Like, we really needed that sporting director, or it's entirely ownership's fault, or it's all the players. We've got to get rid of all the stars, and it's just the head coach. For exactly what you said, you only underachieve this much if multiple things go wrong at once, and there is no one part of the club that's working at the moment. The ownership have a lack of direction and what we perceive to be a lack of ambition, even though the net spend's still been pretty generous. Whatever, we don't really like the ownership at this point. The management that they've put in place is not fit for purpose. They've got people doing roles that they've never trained to do. The squad is not complete, and we've got a lot of underperforming players in there and a lack of leadership. And we switched from one coach who wasn't good enough to another who hasn't been good enough. And then you go down to like the Futuro who've been relegated and shit. Nothing's working at any level. So for you to pick one out and say that would fix everything, it's just.
And the scariest part is not a single head has rolled this season.
No, not
even
yet.
at
No,
the
I don't
Futuro
think
level.
My God, if he doesn't go.
For me, when you see Futuro is relegated, Milan finishes 8th or 9th, it doesn't matter. Outside Champions League spots in the Coppa Italia playoff rounds, everyone has to go. Everyone, right? Like, not just players, the coach, the directors, the Futuro directors, the management, everyone's got to go. If you care about your asset, your product, the club, as an owner, you have to see this and go, not one of you fucking people that I pay millions of dollars for could do the thing I hired you for. You're all gone.
Yeah.
You have to. There's got to be wholesale changes. And if not one of them leaves, that's even scarier than anything else.
Yeah.
How do they get a pass? No one should get a pass for that.
No. I mean, Karofsky, especially with the Futuro, is just like...
Well, and what scares
why
me
we
is
thought that would fucking work, I have no idea.
It was either Scaroni or Furlani, one of those two, when asked about it yesterday, I believe, said, we don't care if we're playing in C or D. It doesn't matter to us.
Moncada
what do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean it doesn't matter to us?
Yeah. Said
the
it's
goal
not that
should
important.
be B. Like...
Yeah. No, that's right. I mean, we put 15 million into that project, which is the budget that you would expect to fight for promotion from Serie B with, it dwarfs most other budgets within that league. And it's just a microcosm of the incompetence that we've seen from top to bottom. But anyway, Roma beat us. We equalised through João Felix. Do you know what? We played better with 10 men, which is just weird, but we did. We looked more free. There was more space, and everyone seemed to know more where they were meant to be. It was a good run from Gimenez, who was playing left wing back. Alex Gimenez, because Santi had been red carded at this point. One thing I will say is, as you mentioned earlier, it was a red card. It's fucking stupid. I hadn't realised Gimenez has already been sent off for an elbow on Mancini in his career in the Europa League with Feyenoord. Yeah, at the same stadium. It's already happened. For the same thing.
I mean, Mancini does get under people's... Go ahead.
No, I was going to say he's let him get under his skin twice now.
That's basically what I was going to say, is he has a history of pissing people off. So, look, Mancini is the king of drawing red cards, but this was the most avoidable of all the red cards. And I think the reason this one got called and the one in Bologna didn't is because the one in Bologna was during the play. The ball was already kicked, and he did it. They're moving. This one was in between plays. The whistle had just blown. Roma's keeper was picking up the ball so that he could take the goal kick or whatever it was. And the referee's right there, and he just does it. It's just like a quick movement to do it. This was with malicious intent. The one in Bologna, he did it and then jumped for the ball. So it was like more of, I'm doing this so I could get an edge. Whereas Santi does it for the sole purpose of, I want to hit you. And that's why it's sent off, in my opinion. That's the difference.
Oh, yeah.
Now, on paper, you look at it and go, they're both the exact same thing. They both should be sent off, and that's also true. But if you're going to play this way, you got to also use your head. There's a reason why Mancini pisses people off, because he plays dirty, but he's smart with it, and he doesn't get caught all the time, and he makes it seem like it's somewhat justified, and the referees go, okay. But this is just blatant. And to do it this early on, when really nothing had happened yet. So that was still like, I remember the last time, F this guy, I'm going for it. And it's unforgivable from Gimenez. Like, obviously, I'm not going to hate him forever, but you don't get away with that ever. And it's stupid to think he would.
He's lucky. He's lucky, really, that it's only a one-game ban in the end, because for violent conduct, you're supposed to get a multi-game ban. And I think that they've given a one game because they've looked at the Bukema thing and thought, we, not like a makeup call in any way, but just let's give him one game and the season's done. But really,
I think also
start next season.
It was a pretty light elbow, and you could tell by the way Mancini goes down, which again is smart. You get hit. Oh, I'm flopping. I'm drawing attention to this. But he barely touched him. It was a small one,
God. You get one of them in the spleen, then you really know about it. You're winded more than dropping to the floor. But they'd had a wrestle before that, and I think that Mancini probably should have been booked for his part in the incident because of what happened in the seconds prior to cause that reaction. Then Mancini did get booked 4 minutes later, and it's like he did enough to get himself sent off in that game. I'm sorry, he does every time, it feels like. But then we equalise through João Felix. Gimenez makes a run in behind and sort of sees his shot crowded out a little bit, but the ball falls to Felix to bang it into
that was Pulisic to
nice ball in behind,
to Gimenez, who of course shoots it direct at the keeper. To be fair, there wasn't a lot of room, so he just kind of did what he could do. Very lucky fall for João Felix, which honestly at this point in the season is what he needed. So it is what it is.
I mean that might be his last contribution. And then I think you know what, we actually were still better after that, but it was always going to be unsustainable, I think, into the second half, playing for so long a man down. And so it proved to be that the goal that went in, though, what ultimately was the winner, the second goal, the Paredes free kick, is just like, what the fuck?
That was when I actually stopped watching. For the first time in my life, I turned off a Milan game before it was over.
Because there was some good drama going on elsewhere, to be fair, as well.
Yeah, of course. With the Inter-Lazio game and Napoli-Parma, I just didn't care about this game. Our season was already over. And then when a free kick like that goes in, which was so frustrating because we put it in the chat too, the wall was off. And before the free kick, you see Maignan try to tell his wall that, but even he just didn't give a fuck. He just goes, hey.
Yeah.
Like he's not.
You can get that shit sorted. Like
this. Like there's ways to adjust it. And we've seen him be a commanding presence in that back line. And he just was like, hey guys, it's wrong. Oh,
my question is like, what wall? It was just a fucking scattering of bodies. Like the whole point of the wall is to make sure that the ball does not get through that area of the pitch, and instead he still goes near post and gets it in. Now,
the wall was
howitzer of a shot. Don't get me wrong.
And Gimenez, that's it.
Yeah, and they just sort of stood vaguely near each other. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a wall, you know. And
the other thing about it that blew my mind is Alex Gimenez is on the right side. Obviously, it's two people, so there's no outside. They're both on it, but he's on the near post, I guess, of Gimenez's side of Maignan.
Yeah,
he turns in towards Pulisic in there.
Yeah,
like in between you's already covered because you got two guys. You don't need to go there. Turn towards the outside or dive that way. You know, try to block the ball. Turn the wrong way, and it's not even his fault. It's just
that just cannot go in. You know, it can't go in. And look, as I said, we were tiring, and they ended up scoring a third goal anyway, so it looks like a comfortable win for Roma. But if that doesn't go in, we're able to frustrate them. We get to 60 minutes. We get to 70 minutes. We've got fresh legs to bring on, including Leao, who did come on. They need a goal to stay in the champ. Who knows what could have happened at the other end? You know, so just stay in it. Don't make a fucking error to cost you the game, because we were not getting back into it from that point. Mm-hmm. And so it proved to be, you know, we threw Jovic on, we threw Fofana on and Felix in a, and Leao in a triple sub. And then later on, Sotil came on for Gabbia, and we finally went sort of four at the back.
That was the other thing too, was Musa started. I mean, the whole lineup was just disgusting and weird.
Yeah. With no Teo and Kyle Walker. You know, we didn't really have any other wing backs, so it had to be Gimenez on the left side and Musa on the right side. You can play Terracciano if you want. I wouldn't want. It ended up being Salamanca's against Gimenez on that left side as well, which I thought was quite funny. Literally could be competing for a starting spot next season based on the way that reports are going, and Salamanca's took it for me. And then funny, because Ranieri admitted openly that he went with Salamanca's because he wanted him to be fired up against his parent club, his old club.
And he was. He celebrated.
Good on him for being honest about it and being like, I think he might have an extra competitive edge here. And then Cristante, of course, ex-Milan man again, scores the goal.
Oh, is that who got the third?
El Shaarawy assist as well. So there's insult to injury. Conceição gets sent off at the end. 93rd minute, I might add, in order to ensure that he doesn't have to take charge of the Monza game. If anyone argues that wasn't deliberate, then get to fuck, because he.
I didn't even see it. What did he do? Did he just?
He just kept shouting at the referee about decisions. The time to shout about refereeing decisions was after the red card. You know, if you're going to get a red card, for having a pop at the ref, then there's a moment to do it, and that's when we were actually fucked. Not 90+3, knowing you will miss the last game and that'll be your goodbye. You know, it was fucking cowardly, pathetic. Give it the whole shit after the game about how we all need to look in the mirror, we all need to make our evaluations. The club have to ask itself this. Fuck off, like seriously, fuck the lot of them. Shit season, embarrassing. Well done to Roma. I love Claudio Ranieri. Like even though he's got no connection to Milan, I just love him. The Leicester miracle, I think, going and dragging Roma out as he has done. It was great to see him get such a good farewell.
Remember, they were in 14th when he took over this season in February.
They have, if they had the form from when Ranieri took over to now, points per game average, they would be top, I believe. And as it stands, they will currently finish 5th as it stands, so they won't even get a Champions League place, despite how bad Juve have been at certain parts this season. That cannot happen. I am rooting so hard for Juve to fuck up in that last game because they don't deserve it. Roma deserve it. Maybe Lazio at a push, who have hung in there.
And I don't think Venezia are confirmed relegated yet, right? So there's still a chance that...
No, Venezia can stay up. They're 2 points out. And Lecce and Empoli, I think, have some hard games. So, you know, they'll fight. They'll fight.
There is a big fight for it, yeah.
Fuck. Lecce have got Lazio away, who will need to win to keep their Champions League hopes alive. So Venezia, they've got to go for it. You know,
there's an outside chance it could happen, yeah.
And daft stuff can happen. You know, if you'd have said to me that Inter would take the lead twice against Lazio but not win, I'd have said, no, that's silly. But as you get later and later in the season, mental stuff can happen. And Napoli's arse has fallen out a little bit. But Cagliari at home, who have stayed up officially, please, Cagliari, please do not do anything fucking stupid. Just let them win. Walk over, you know.
I hope so. And
Cagliari...
Look, there's still one thing to play for us. It's the most bottom of the barrel thing that we're scratching for.
Yeah.
But to get seeded in next season's Coppa Italia.
Yeah.
So we don't have to play that one additional game against a Serie C team. Probably, well, it couldn't even be.
It's Barry, actually. It's already been confirmed who it is.
Okay. Well, that, you know what? That'd be a fun game.
Yeah, it would. But it would be at
Stay where you're at, boys. Stay at night.
The mad thing is we're about to announce a friendly against Leeds in Dublin on August the 9th, which will be very fun, by the way, because I hate Leeds. But we would play that Coppa Italia game on August 10th. So what we're going to do, send the kids? Like, you know what I mean? And we just announced another friendly against Perth in Western Australia as part of our tour out there. Hey, at least they're prioritising the things that matter. We're not in Europe, but we're playing in the fucking Far East again and some game in Dublin. Like, please, can we just focus on what matters here? Anyway, shit show season done. Flop of the match. Don't really care.
I'm giving it to him, though.
Yeah, God, yeah, it's got to be. Obviously, red card. Tomori was really bad as well. He lost Mancini for the goal. I was going to mention that when you said about the concussion. He was nowhere near him for that header. Yeah. His man. Top of the match. I'm going to say... João Felix wasn't bad, man. Like, he actually wasn't bad. Pulisic did okay as well, and the ball for the
pre-assist. To not get the assist, but it is what it is. I mean, that's the reality of it.
Let's move on. Okay. Monza. Don't care. Move on. Right, I'll tell you one thing that I'm passionate about in this game. We have I know you said about 8th, but it's what it is like. Please play some kids in this. Like the Futura are relegated, so let's see Kamada start up front. Yeah.
It's going to be Bartazaghi anyways.
So the one problem that I see with this is that the Primavera are in the playoffs, and a lot of those guys are going to qualify to play. Kamada and Liberali are still young enough to play. Bartazaghi too. They just got to be under 21, I think. So it's possible that they aggregate all the kids there. But really, we've got... This is going to sound horrible and cliche, but we've got the new kit coming out for next season. They're going to wear that for this game. Give us something that's like the Milan of the future, right? Give us something to look at and be like, there's some decent kids here. Now, they might go out and shit the bed. That's probably more likely. But, you know, Monza will probably play Zeroli.
New kids, with the kids. Conceição's already gone. I mean, yeah.
Wait, who'll be in charge?
Who cares?
Who can be his assistant? I'd just promote Otto. So he is the new manager as well.
Let Leao be manager on the bench.
Yeah, man. Anything. Gimenez, let him manage. He's not doing anything else. He's probably got a stadium ban, actually. So, yeah, I don't care. I'd just rotate heavily. You know, give us those guys. But if they don't do it because they're all going to the Primavera, I would say that's a little harsh, maybe. Doing that, because you've got like the players that are in the Primavera team and have been for most of the season should be there. They should be the ones playing in the playoffs. But say that the kids aren't available for the first team because they're playing as part of that squad, I would get it. But yeah, I don't care. I don't care. Monza are relegated. They've avoided the worst points total in Serie A history, but it's been a really bad season for them. I don't like to see it because obviously there's a little bit of a link there with us.
Yeah.
Galliani has clearly lost his edge without Berlusconi there for obvious reasons. And it might be a while before we see them back in Serie A, to be honest, unless they get bought out again. But they had a little fairy tale couple of years there. And do you know what? I think we're gonna win this, and I think we're gonna win 4 or 5-0 for no reason.
1-1. I don't.
Let's move.
I'm not even gonna watch it, to be honest, because kickoff is 2:45 on Saturday. And I have to drop Gem off at the airport at 2 on Saturday, and it's kind of hard. So, I mean, I'll watch it when I get back, but maybe I stop and get a slice of pizza on the way home or something. I don't know.
Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah, enjoy myself. I almost left in the middle of the Roma game to get a slice of pizza. There's anything else to do, I'll do it.
You should have done, yeah.
Can we just take a second and talk about how fucking stupid the Serie A is? I was looking at the fixtures. So you got Napoli and Inter playing on Friday.
Sick, that, by the way. That screams of a Friday night at the pub.
Well, that screams of I'll be at work still.
Oh, yes, so sorry. Yeah.
That shit pisses me the fuck off. Why would you do that on a Friday? Look, how much drama was there on Sunday because every game kicked off at the same time? Do that. Every league does it. It's so simple.
Yeah, but why was it good? It was good because you had Inter and Napoli playing at the same time. And I thought that was the main storyline of the round.
Yeah.
And so what they've tried to do is take that jeopardy and spread it across multiple windows. So you've got the Scudetto battle that night simultaneously, top 4 battle that night simultaneously, and sort of do it that way rather than just everyone playing and you don't really know what you're keeping track of. But I thought it would be customary for all the games in the last round to kick off at the same time. That feels like just a dumb thing.
And the Premier League, who has always done it, isn't even doing it this year. City play their last game on like Thursday or Friday, which is also odd.
Yeah.
But I guess it's because you have United and Tottenham playing Europa League final on Wednesday. So like there is a lot of weird. Oh yeah, I'll watch that one for sure. But yeah, it's just frustrating. I don't like it, and whatever. The league's stupid. The teams are stupid. Everything's dumb. Let's do some questions.
Yeah, let's do a couple of questions then. There's a lot to go on in terms of bonus pods. So, you know, we might have to go deeper into Tari if that comes true, like it looks like it's going to. And I kind of want to do something on the...
Building on that, what I said in the very beginning of the episode, is it Tari now to say sorry? Igle Tari now to say sorry.
Yeah, that works. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
For the bonus.
and the lyrics are fitting because we went to him and now 2 weeks later we're going back to him. So is it too late? Apparently not. Okie doke. Then let's start with a Discord one. Oh God. JT Physio, if given the chance of 0 repercussions, would you guys slap the shit out of Scaroni?
Yeah. 0 repercussions? There's not many people I wouldn't slap for 0 repercussions.
Yeah, that's true actually. Like, you know, what was I once listening to? Like a drunk questions video between these two guys on YouTube, and it was like, would you slap him if you got like a chocolate bar? And he was like, yeah, I'd do it. And the other guy was like, what the fuck? And he's like, yeah, but I'd give you half. It's like, yeah, fair. So like, if it became a thing of like you having to slap me for $1 million or whatever, fucking as hard as you want, mate. You whack me as long as I get a little bit of it, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm straight onto the Twitter here. Milan Forza 7. Do you like turtles?
I like turtles.
I like turtles. I do actually. I really do. I've swam with turtles a few times, and they're pretty chilling.
Yeah, I did in the Bahamas. Big old sea turtles, and we were just snorkeling. I said, I'm going under, so I went underwater with my snorkel. So I had to blow that out as soon as I got to the surface, but just, you know, grabbed one of the turtles. I don't know if it was a leatherback or a sea turtle or whatever the type of turtle was, but it was the one that's in the Bahamas, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, you get a lot of them around there, warmer waters and stuff in it. I've seen the baby ones as well, like
when they hatch,
scampering down the beach is sick, man. They're very small, but what surprised me swimming next to the fully grown adult ones is how big they are.
Yeah.
They are huge, man, but really, really pleasant, Moving on, ordinary Milan fan, Kai Scott. Where do we go from here? I can't think of a scenario that we get out of this mess unless somehow Maldini comes back, which is never going to happen as long as Redburn remain owner. Coach is not the problem anymore. There's no project or direction.
Where do we go from here? Weatherspoons.
Well said, mate. Spoken like a true Brit. Man. Where do we go? Right. I'll give a quick answer because I think we're going to go more in depth on this for obvious reasons. So the first protocol is to hire a new sporting director because when you put that piece in, all the others can move into more fitting roles. I said I would relegate Ibra from his duties, and I think that's already happened. You're seeing less and less of him. He's less involved on a daily basis. We might even see him just step down from his Milan advisor role, full stop. But CEO Giorgio Furlani then moves to being like a full-time corporate CEO. He doesn't interfere on the football side. That's what I want to happen, not what I think is going to happen. Jeffrey Moncada moves back to being a chief scout. So you're drawing the Venn diagram, and they're all trying to fill that thing in the middle that a sporting director would, but none of them are qualified to do it. Yeah. The sporting director moves in, pushes them all back out to where they're meant to be. And I think that is at least a coherent, clear start. And then the head coach has to be right, of course.
So obviously,
it's a clean slate.
Exactly. Like you said, bring in the sporting director, fill in the big missing puzzle piece there, put Moncada back to scout because he was genuinely good as a scout. I think you keep Furlani and you tell him he's replacing Scaroni. You push that old man out, you put Furlani there, and I think he will actually flourish in that position. I did see, I think this morning or last night before I went to bed, that we are at the next step of Milan and Inter having shared ownership of San Siro. So I think Furlani there could push that forward and make that actually happen, whereas Scaroni just kind of sits in a chair. And then you obviously get a new coach. Sounds like it's going to be Maurizio Sarri. I have no problem with that either. At least he has an identity.
Now, though.
Yes,
give him
now
the preseason and beyond to do this.
Yeah.
And this is where we might have an advantage, in looking at the competition, because there's a lot of stuff going on this summer, Club World Cup and stuff, where we can just get to work and having uninterrupted midweeks and stuff. Like if I was to compile a list of things to be positive about, and I'm not in the mood to do it, so please don't think I'm like a club mouthpiece or anything. I really don't want to do this, but if I'm looking at things to be positive about, I think there are some things. Like there's a sporting director gap to be filled. If it's Iglitare, then I'm more positive about it than negative because he knows the league, he's well connected, and he's worked under more demanding ownerships than this, like more restrictive ownership with Claudio Latito. The next head coach that comes in cannot be worse, and it's going to be an Italian who knows the league. Again, I see that as a positive step. It's a step in the right direction. With the squad, there's a real chance to, pin over it, like for the new coach and director to put their stamp on it, because Teo Maignan can probably leave this summer if they want. If you really wanted to sacrifice Reinders for a mega offer of like 80, 90 mil, if the new coach is fine with it and says, I want these guys anyway, like there's at least something there, the squad becomes a bit of a canvas because of all the expiring loans and things like that. Some good young talents in the system. I still stand by that. A lot of them Italian as well. The stadium project, it has to move forward by July because there's literally a deadline before. Otherwise, we will turn to the other thing. But that's something that can move us forward as a club. There are things to cling on to.
And I think if you get a Tare in and then he can immediately get Sarri in, that will at least answer the questions that the players have. You see the reports this week of Pusic paused his renewal because he wants to know the direction of the club, what we're going to do next season. That's a fair thing to say. Like when you are the guy and you're entering your prime years and you're at the peak of your career, you obviously feel some loyalty and sentimentality towards Milan, but this was a rough year for him in terms of personnel around him, coaches, things like that. Obviously, numbers, he's still best of his career. But it's knowing that the World Cup is in his home country next season, obviously he's going to be called up no matter where he's playing. But there's a lot of reason for him to say, hey, what's the direction? What's the project? Before I commit to this, what's the project? It doesn't matter if it's the best project on earth. You got to give him something. Right now, they're saying, we're working on getting a coach and a director, and then we'll let you know what our plan is. So he's thinking that's not a project. They don't even know what they want. You get the director in immediately. He brings in the coach, and you go, oh, well, we got Igletari because of his time at Lazio, and he brings this style to the position. And we bring in Maurizio Sarri because we like the way he plays. It's attacking. We think it'll suit you, Christian. We think wingers will get more on the ball. It's going to work well with Reinders and Leao and Santi and all these guys. And he goes, okay, yeah, I'll do this. Let's sign that renewal. Mignon might do the same. Teo might still leave because it sounds like he really wants out. But he might see Sarri and go, he's had success with players like me. Let me give this one more year. Let me give it a try. Let me sign that 1-year extension, and we'll see. Leao's going to be here. He just signed his. And Reinders might go, look, everyone else is staying. Why would I want to go? I'm not going to take this offer from City. I want to stay here. I just signed my renewal until 2030. I love this club. It could turn everything around.
Not Latito. Tare actually also has a track record of making stars stick around for longer than they should. Like Milinkovic-Savic stuck around for a long time. Immobile became their highest ever goal scorer. Luis Alberto. There's others that stuck around for probably longer than they should have done because he was able to sell them the project. Basically, I totally understand if Reinders and Pulisic come knocking on the door and say, what's the big idea here, guys? What they've ultimately got to do is put together enough evidence to say to them, we promise it's going to be 1 year out of Europe. That's
exactly.
It's going to be max 1 year. It's a year of pain, but trust me, it'll be for the gain of your career. And if they say, no, sorry, I don't believe you, you've not given me enough evidence, then you start to think. But it's on them now. They've got to rebuild trust. That's the main thing. Rebuild trust with smart moves. It doesn't have to be anything. Don't reinvent the wheel by thinking, well, Fonseca could give something completely different to what the rest of the league has. Everyone else is hiring Italian managers.
Yeah.
The
problem is they decided to come up with a plan before they picked the people, and you should pick the people and go with the people's plan. I don't know. I mean, I see both sides of it, but
the two can converge. You can look at Tare and think, we can build a plan around him. Let's get him in the door. Some people you just won't build anything around. I think that's where we're at with Conceição, but we're happy with that.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Sorry that it's been the way it has, but blame the team, not me. Blame the club. We're back with a final episode of the season next week, and then we'll go into stuff like probably player ratings, end of season awards, all that kind of shit, and hopefully there's some big developments on the planning for the future front. But in the meantime, I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. Find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher. AJ, cheers for joining.
Yep, thanks to everyone who keeps listening, even though it sucks.
Well said. Have a fantastic week, everybody.
Get up and